All kinds of great things coming up. So I'm going to jump right in your notes. I want to review. Week 1, we learned what? We learned that our underwear matters, right? Our undergarments matter. We talked about being intentional and stripping off all the old clothes and then putting on the new outfits that God has designed specifically just for us. Then last week, we learned all about what it means to do that really awkward phrase thing called gird your loins for the battle with what? What are we going to put on? We're going to buckle up the belt of truth. We saw how Roman soldiers hung all of their weapons actually from that belt. And it also served as kind of like a girdle to protect their core. So it was like a wide pair of Spanx on there. I also learned that many of you have watched The Devil Wears Prada more than 10 times, but we don't judge here, so that's okay. We really didn't count past 10. And then finally, we saw how our enemy, who we said works in darkness and whose intent is really evil, he uses what? He uses lies as the basis for his battle plan to lure each of it our weak points. We said that there's a lure for everything and everybody, and it's something that's super attractive, unique to us. And we also learned, though, on a positive note, how to exchange lies for truth in the primary battlefield, which is where? Where does it take place? In the mind, right? Where 60,000 or more thoughts occur each day. I can tell you that today I know I exceeded the limit. I'm like already over on that. I don't know how many of you feel that way. I think our group that comes at night probably feels that more than our morning group because they haven't had time to accumulate all those. So I hope you guys were able to practice some exchanging your own lies for declarations or truth this week. You'll get to talk about that in your group. If you haven't been here or this is your first time, or you missed last week, please go back and grab the notes in the back and read them. I think it'll help you. So this week we want to move on to actually 2 battle accessories in Ephesians 6. They're the breastplate and the shoes. I don't know so much about breastplates, but I do know everyone loves a really good pair of shoes. We're going to go there, but let's start by reading the verse. You ready? Here we go. Ephesians 6, 14 and 15. Stand firm. Remember that. Plant, ready position. Plant yourselves or gird your loins with the belt of truth buckled around your waist. And then with the breastplate of, underline that word, righteousness in place. And with your feet fitted, which is a funny phrase, with, underline the word readiness, with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. So we're always in this ready position, we said, to move. So just like we want to enter into the battle with truth at our core to hang the rest of our weapons on, we also don't want to leave home without our breastplate and our shoes. So let's start with that breastplate. So the breastplate, and I brought a picture of it, it covered the area basically from your neck to your thighs, and it was designed to protect all of your vital organs, but most specifically to protect your heart. And then often there was a leather sheath worn underneath it. It was like an added layer of protection. And if you could afford it, if you had the money for it, you could have a layer of iron rings stitched onto the back. But clearly, this piece of armor that protected the heart could determine whether you live or die, in the battle. Now, the breastplate is described as the breastplate of righteousness. And righteousness in the Bible, and this is important, it's actually translated as right wiseness, or living wisely in a way that reflects your relationship with God. And protecting your heart, of course, it's critical to winning the battle because the heart in the Bible represents the seat of your mind, of your emotions, your soul, your conscience, and your will, where living wisely is then applied in life. So this is why it says in Proverbs 4:23, and some of you know this is one of my favorite verses ever. It says this: watch over your heart with what? Be diligent to watch over your heart, for from your heart flow all the springs of life. Another translation says it this way: above all else, above everything else you do, Tanya, guard that heart of yours. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Super important. Now, another reason the belt of truth and the breastplate of righteousness are critical is because the heart can also be very deceitful. Think about it. Jeremiah 17:9 says this, the heart is deceitful above all the things, and it's beyond cure, humanly speaking. And who can get it? Who can understand it? Now, that's the bad news, but the good news is there's also hope for the heart, because when we trust God with it, it says he will actually direct our paths. So Proverbs 3:5-6 tells us this, trust in the Lord with what? All your heart. So if you're seeing the word heart over and over and over, I would go ahead and highlight that in your notes. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Don't lean on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge him. And what will he do? He will make your paths straight. So this sounds a lot like right wiseness again. And the cool thing is that the truth reveals and directs the heart on the paths that we should go. So it keeps us from tripping up. Now, I kind of feel like at this point, we're full circle. So we go back to the belt of truth. Hebrews 4:12 says the word of God is living, it's active, it's sharper than any two-edged sword. It even penetrates as far as the division of the soul and the spirit, of the joints and the marrow. And what's it's able to do? It's able to judge the thoughts, underline it, and intentions of what? Of the heart. Your word I've hidden where? In my heart, that I might not sin against you. So these are just great pictures over and over again of why we need the armor. And I want to give you a little disclaimer. I'm giving you lots of scripture today. And the reason is because if we're hiding that word in our hearts and we're getting that truth in there, it's going to help us defeat all those lies that are incoming. So if you're a sticky note person, you could stick many of these on a mirror or someplace just to encourage you. Now, I wanted to take just a minute and think about the broken heart. You know, I think at some point, most everybody in this room has had a broken heart, either by the boy. Can you remember your first broken heart that you had? But maybe it's by a child or a parent or a relative or a friend. People will even use the phrase, I almost died from a what? From a broken heart. But surviving a broken heart is also about our response to the truth, right? So that we can heal. And it's along with the trust and the risk that are required to move forward. So I love what it says here about this. It says in Psalm 28:7, the Lord is my strength and my shield. We're back to battle gear again. My heart trusts in him and he helps me. In Psalm 112:7, it says, they will have no fear of bad news. Their hearts are steadfast, turning to the Lord. So now, think about that broken heart. Maybe you have a broken heart right now, or maybe the broken heart that you had in the past. What are some words of encouragement that we give to someone with a broken heart? I know I can remember my first broken heart in high school. So much drama, really. Like so much, throw yourself on your bed, cry in the pillow, nothing consoles you, all the things that go with it. But for me, it was really my first broken heart. Fortunately, I had some really strong friends who could speak truth into me. What were some of the things that they said to me? Well, Tanya, God really does have great plans for you. Tanya, this is part of your story, but it's not going to be your whole story. Tanya, God really is a God of redemption. There's absolutely nothing he can't redeem. He's going to redeem this part of your story. So broken hearts, they're inevitable in a broken world, either from someone else, or maybe it's our own deceit or our own deception. But there's another kind of broken heart I just wanted to mention as we're talking about the heart. In fact, this is one I hope that we all suffer from. And it's really my prayer that each of us, that our hearts would break with the things that break God's heart, that our hearts would break with the things that break his heart. And that as we submit our heart to the word, to the truth, and then to him, that it would actually change the way we live and we see others when we do it from his perspective. So the Bible calls this process of our heart breaking like God's heart, and then the change that comes from it, he calls it sanctification. I love that word. It's the process actually of becoming more and more and more like him in our heart and then in our right wiseness, so that the devil really doesn't have a chance. He doesn't stand a chance with us. All right, so there we go with the what? Breastplate of righteousness. And along with the core protecting belt of truth, We've got to get some shoes. So shoe people, raise your hands. Let me see you. I see you. I'm one of you. All right, so let's go back to our verse, Ephesians 6, 14 and 15. Stand firm, gird your loins, Tanya. Then with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, put on that breastplate of righteousness that's going to protect your deceitful, right, and your broken heart, protect your heart, and with your feet fitted with, underline the word readiness, with the readiness that comes from the shoes of the gospel of peace. So this is kind of what they looked like. They were actually sandals, but they had spikes on the bottom of them so that in that ready position, right, you had balance. When you got into rough terrain, no matter where you were going, you were steady and you weren't thrown off guard. So I love the picture of the readiness, but it's back to that position. And don't you have that pair of shoes, you know, the shoes that you put on when you're ready to move? Do you have those? I have some ready position shoes. These are actually my work ready position shoes. When I put these on, I know that I'm going to be business go, right? That things are going to be happening here at work and I'm ready to go. They're super soft. They have a really good sole on them. These, however, on the other hand, these are when I'm getting ready to go hiking and the terrain is tough and I'm going to have to really move and go up. They have a really big tread on them, but these are my go shoes when I'm in that situation. Now, the verse that says we're putting on our ready-to-move peace shoes, doesn't that seem strange when you're talking about a battle or you're putting on battle wear? But the word peace in the Bible is actually an amazing word. In the Hebrew, it means order. But it doesn't refer to peace as the absence, stay with me here and underline this, as the absence of chaos or order, but rather peace or deep-rooted tranquility in the midst of chaos, in the midst of disorder, like a battle would be, yeah? And although peace, it could be a result of something, if you really think about it, peace is usually in spite of something, or something that could even be playing in the background. For example, COVID has been playing in the background now for over a year, right? It's something in the background that's disruptive. It could be a negative work environment that you go to. It could be a negative team that you're on at work. It could be ongoing family issues. And in this case, you know, it's in the context of a battle where everything, you know, in a battle, everything can escalate quickly, and then fear comes in and it fills our hearts and minds with chaos. So we're back in the battlefield of the mind again. So it's important to note that just like God is at the core of the truth, he's also at the core of peace. Check this out. These are such amazing verses. 1 Corinthians 14:33 says, you know what? God is not a God of confusion. He's a God of, you say, yeah. So if you find yourself there, you know, if you find yourself in confusion or chaos or disorder, it's probably gone back to the mind where the enemy baits you to take your focus off him and the belt of truth. Check this verse out, Isaiah 26:3. It says, you will keep him in what kind of peace? Perfect peace, all who trust in you, whose thoughts are, and I love the word fixed, are fixed on you, not the chaos, not the disorder. Psalm 119, 165, those who love your law or the truth, your word, have great peace, and then nothing causes them to stumble, to be knocked off balance. This is the beauty of peace shoes. Now, besides disorder or chaos, another of Satan's lies is that worry, underline that, is an effective way to deal with it, right? To deal with our anxiety around it. But what's worry? You know, worry, it's just an attempt to bring about order or control, isn't it? So it makes us kind of feel better in a temporary sense. The truth is, worry and peace, they're totally incompatible because worry cuts us off from God as the actual source of where peace comes from. So what does worry say? Worry says, you know, I don't know if God's got this. I don't know if God really has my best interest in mind, so you know what, I better worry about it for a little minute. We do this. We don't say it, but we do it. This is another great picture of what it looks like in Colossians 3:15, and I really love this visual piece, so stay with me. It says this, Let, what's the word let mean? It means let, right? Okay, y'all are with me. It means to allow it. It means to allow. Tanya, let the peace of Christ rule. Let it rule. Let it rule in where? In your heart, stay here, to which indeed you were called in one body. So the word rule here means to decide as an umpire or like a referee, to let peace have the final word or say in your heart. Not worry have the final say, let peace have the final say. So at any given time, you can stop and you can ask yourself, who's ruling right now here in my heart or my mind? What's ruling right now? Is it that person? Who's calling the game? Is disorder ruling? What's getting the final say? Worry or anxiety or peace? So it's pretty evident that we have an important volitional role to play if we're going to live a peace-filled life. And what it involves is putting on these shoes of peace. So look at Psalm 34:14. It says, depart from evil. So that's a volitional thing to do. Depart from evil, do good, and then we'll catch this. Seek peace. What does to seek mean? If I'm seeking something out, I'm doing this. Seek peace, I'm going after it. And then it gets even stronger. Pursue it. So the key word here is to pursue. And if I'm pursuing you, what am I doing? I'm stalking you. Like I'm coming after you. I'm right behind you. I'm pursuing you. I'm chasing. I love the phrase. Write it down. I'm chasing after it. And we're not just to pursue peace for our own selves. It's not just a selfish thing here. Romans 14:19 says, pursue the things, underline it, which make for peace. And here's the building up of one another. 1 Thessalonians 5:13 says, live in peace with one another. Romans 12:18 says, if possible, Tanya, so far as it depends on you, be at peace with how many people? All the people, all men. So again, these verses are written as commandments with that implied use. So you be at peace with all men. You put your peace shoes on. You pursue peace. You chase after peace. You live in peace with all the people. So I want us to hear the personal responsibility in these verses. So pursuing means to go after something hard, to go after peace. And if you're not at peace with someone right now, I don't think it's any coincidence that you're here. That in spite of the rain and the bad hair day and all the things that came with this day or whatever happened at work, I don't think it's a coincidence that you're here and talking about being at peace with all men. Maybe this is an opportunity for you to extend an olive branch and be encouraged to do that. So where did the olive branch come from? Do you remember this? So after the flood, when they're all hanging out on the boat, Noah sends the dove out because the rain subsided and he's waiting to see if it's receding and there's dry land. And finally, the dove comes back with this olive branch in its beak. And it was a symbol that, God and man were now at peace again. And it's a beautiful picture. It's actually, make sure you get your cards out of your buckets today. But I have a picture of the heart and the olive branch because they really are intertwined. They go together. And that's really been a symbol all over the world since then. Now, in Matthew 5, as we close, we see how God views the importance of being at peace at our relationships because this is a pretty radical verse. Here we go. Matthew 5:23 and 24. Therefore, if you're presenting your offering at the altar, so you up there presenting an offering, and you remember that you have something against your brother. Is that what it says? No. Have you ever thought about this verse real hard? You've read it before? Remember that your brother's got a little something against you. You got to leave your offering there before the altar and do what? Go, put your peace shoes on, and first be reconciled to your brother, and then come on back here to the altar again. This is why if I'm ever doing communion, I take a very pregnant pause here in the process and have people really pray about if there's anything broken in your life right now, it's your opportunity to go and reconcile. So far as it depends on you, there's no guarantee that they'll receive it, but to take care of your part. And whether it's you think it's there or if you know in the back of your mind that there's something there with them. Have you ever known that? I'm off topic here, but how do you know if someone has something against you? One is if they just can't look you in the eye, or you notice they're never in the room at the same time as you. You know what you know what you know, yeah? So this is something important to think about. So here's the visual that I want to leave you with today. It's a little bit awkward, but what I want for us to think about as women is when a woman comes in the room, you may notice what they're wearing, the things they have on, but one of the things you might notice are their shoes. And my hope for us is that when we come in a room, that women would see us, and I'm going to sit down here and do this, but they would see us as women who were wearing peace shoes. These are not on my go shoes, I can just tell you. If I'm going to go fast, I'm not going to wear those. And I'm one of the few people that can fall off of a pair of wedges. It's so annoying. Anyway, that's me, short people problems. But I'm going to put on my go shoes, my ready shoes, and what I'm hoping is that when I enter into a room, that someone will say, whoa, here comes Tanya. She's wearing her peace shoes. She's not coming in chaos. She's coming wanting peace for herself, peace for me, peace for whatever environment she's in. She's wanting peace between God and the people in the room. She is a person of peace. She's pursuing it. Because what I don't want is for us, when we come in a room, for people to go, oh, here comes the drama. You know, it's like Aunt Lucy at Thanksgiving. Ding dong. Oh, there she is. Here comes the drama. You know, the pot stirrer, the drama person. I want to be a person who comes in with shoes of peace, pursuing peace between God and man and us and each other. Does that make sense? I hope that's helpful. You're going to have a really good discussion in your groups. Let me pray. God, we really want to be ready for battle. We want to be ready to move. And we want to put on our peace shoes and make a way for peace, especially in this time. There's so much chaos. There's so much negative. There's so much disruption. May we be women that stand out because we're women who bring peace. Give us a great discussion in Jesus' name. Amen. Y'all have fun.